Okay. So because tomorrow's the 4th, I've been taking some time to reflect on the privilege we share in living this country where freedom begins at the local level. It's here in our neighborhoods and on our streets and in meetings like this one where we see the real spirit of American community in action. Serving on this council has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. All of the decisions we make are rooted in the values we share and the belief that we can make things better together. So I'm proud of the work we've accomplished, and more importantly, I'm inspired by community input and the work that we still have to do together with the community. So I guess I just want to say thank you, everyone who's here and online, and maybe who will listen later, the people who are involved at the city level all the time. I know it takes a lot of commitment to be involved in what's going on in the city. So thank you for doing that, and for helping our city be better and our country be better, and happy 4th of July tomorrow. Happy Independence Day. And with that, we'll go ahead and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Hunt. Thank you. Okay, we don't have anyone signed up to speak for public comment, so we will just move forward in our agenda. We first have a presentation of the Unsung Hero Award to Kim Smith, and I forgot to invite her. Yeah, so that was good. Yes. Okay, good. Well, so I'll just tell you a little bit about her. Kim Smith is our Youth City Council or Youth Court Advisor. She served the city for 24 years. She's going to serve for one more year, and that will be 25 years of service to Kaysville City. And she is a fantastic lady. She received the Unsung Hero Award during the Patriotic Devotional last Sunday, and she also was able to share a little bit about her service as the youth court advisor, and kind of told everybody a little bit about the purpose of youth court and how many students they've been able to help over the years. And so Kim is fantastic, and she's a good lady, and she'll be in the parade tomorrow. So wave to her if you see her. Okay, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. So I believe this might be the first State of the City address that we've had maybe ever, but certainly in many years.
Yes.
And so because of that, love to get feedback later too from the council if there's other information you'd like to see from the city, kind of year over year comparison of data. If there's things that we're not currently tracking data-wise, we can look at tracking some of that information. A lot of this is just very high level. And it takes from some of the annual reports from the other departments over the last year. And I've just kind of selected a couple of key indicators from different departments that I think tell a bigger story of how we're doing as a city, and then kind of have a few takeaways at the end. So with that, just wanted to point out, first we got some great recognition from the Reader's Choice Awards through the Standard Examiner and the Davis Chamber. Best City to Live in, Best Fire Department, Best Parade, and Best Library. So it was in the newsletter, but thank you to everyone that submitted their votes. And we've got a banner tomorrow in the parade that the Youth Council is going to be carrying that has all these awards on it too, so great recognition. So again, a couple different key indicators from different departments. Police service calls. You can see that this kind of generally the trend is obviously going to be going up and up over time, and doesn't necessarily go every single year, but the trend is up. And we're seeing about 800 calls that each officer is responding to each year. And of those 11,000, what we saw this last year, calls for service, about 450 of those were investigated through the investigations division of three detectives. So each detective looked at about 150 cases. So we've got a pretty good volume of cases coming through. Our our traffic is a concern. You can see citations kind of leveling off, but number of stops has continued to increase, and that continues to be a concern both in the police department and for citizens as well. The amount of congestion, the amount of speeding and unsafe driving. So that's an area that we want to continue to focus on. Of course, in the tentative budget or the modified budget that was approved, we saw one patrol sergeant added to the department. So we're hoping that will help us in that area. Oh, I wanted to point out too that there were 500 auto accidents in 2024, and of those 500, about 53 were fairly serious. And so that we're seeing again a number of concerns there, and hoping to try to mitigate some of that. And just a couple of nice things to note. Yes.
May I ask?
Yep.
So you look at, with the stops going, I mean, that's a significant jump. And then the citations going down. I'm just sort of wondering, and you may not have an answer on, why are we not citing more? Because it seems if you're citing and the word gets around that, there's a fairly hefty citation.
Yeah, good question. I actually meant to try to catch the chief on that this week and just haven't caught up with him. I think, for one, of course, all those citations, they're at the officer's discretion if they think it's warranted. It's a good question. I will get an answer on that for you.
Okay. Well, and the other question was, how many of those citations or stops were for Councilmember Adams?
Yeah.
Zero.
Zero.
They know my car.
We have a multi-agency SWAT team that includes agencies from Bountiful up to Kaysville, and they were called out on 21 incidents this last year, 2024. A nice award that we received, the Multi-Agency Narcotics Task Force seized a significant amount of narcotics, and 500 pounds of meth and 1.4 million fentanyl pills. So they were awarded as the Task Force of the Year in the Rocky Mountain region, the HIDA region. So I think there's about 7 of those regions throughout the country, and the Rocky Mountain area includes, I think, Colorado, Utah, Montana. Do you know, Nick, by chance? You do some of these? It's several states, so from Montana down through Utah and Wyoming, right? And so that's a pretty significant recognition there to be Task Force of the Year of all those states. But they're doing a great job. So this was something that Chief shared recently, but we were rated for the second year in a row, the second safest city in Utah. I did see this year's numbers, 2025 already, or this year's ranking, and we slipped to 5th. Syracuse bumped ahead of us. Obviously, that's still good news that we're rated high. But one thing I wanted to point out, because I think sometimes we see these numbers and we think, oh, we've got nothing to worry about. We're safe, and maybe we can afford to be a little bit lax isn't the right word, but I think it's important to explain some of these numbers too. Chief and I were talking the other day, and if you look at how these numbers are calculated, they're based on the number of crimes basically per 1,000 residents. And so in cities where you have a high amount of commercial activity compared to the population of residents, you'll see a lot higher statistics for crime. It doesn't necessarily make that city a lot worse. Like, for example, Riverdale, I think, has the worst numbers in the state because they have a population of 9,000 people, but they have 10 times the amount of commercial that Kaysville has. It doesn't make going to Smith's in Riverdale a lot more dangerous than going to Smith in Kaysville per se. It just means that because of that high volume of commercial, they see a lot more, those kinds of crimes that happen in commercial areas. And so, if you look at the top 5 safest cities, they're all areas that have a high amount of residents and relatively few commercial areas, like you'll see Highland and Alpine, Utah, Syracuse, places like that. So just something to keep in mind. Fire department, This has been shared recently as well, but we see that we've got about 2,000 or so total responses each year. We had 250 mutual aid calls last year, most of those going to Farmington. So nothing new there. Just a couple of highlights on new programs that have been rolled out recently. We've talked about this, Chief has mentioned it a couple times, but we were one of the very first departments in the state to have a rapid sequence intubation program, which is the fastest way to take over somebody's breathing and help provide assisted breathing. And that's been used a number of times, so that's very exciting. And Chief, I know you're here, so if you have things that you want to pop in and add, if I'm misstating something, yep, please jump in.
I think the most important part is getting smarter and when not to RSI somebody. Mm-hmm. And they proved that on that accident we had on 200 North, where we flew that individual. So it was, that to me, that says a lot more. And I looked at the numbers right before I came here. We're on pace for over 2,300 calls this year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we had them all this past week.
Yeah, I was going to say this last couple of days.
How many are in Farmington?
We haven't gone much, really, to be honest with you. We're busy here.
I know this last few days, this last week has been crazy, and we're just heading into the big holiday weekend. Number of vehicle and pedestrian crashes, fires, EMS calls.
Yeah, we've had probably 10 wrecks in the past week.
I will encourage council, I had an opportunity to do a ride-along.
You
And it
missed
was,
a good one.
I did. And as soon as I left, then we had something really exciting happen. He called me up. He said you missed it, but it was really interesting. I was able to do a rapid sequence intubation on a dummy. It would have died if it was a real person, so it was good it wasn't real. But it was really interesting just to learn about the department and be able to see the type of work you do.
Went on an extrication
Yes.
training.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you-
the training was really good.
Did you like watch TV and lift weights too?
We didn't even
That's a pretty
touch a
good one.
couch. We didn't even get close. They were out in 110 degrees, taking a car apart with the jaws of life or whatever, cutting a dummy out of a car. So lots of really great training. Anyway, yeah.
And I think Mayor and Chief, that's something to really highlight for the department. They do such an outstanding job with their training, exceeding, I believe, right, all the NFPA things on training, and just fantastic. And just so the RSI program and then the heavy rescue program that was implemented, kind of a model for the county, I believe, and that's just another thing that's been used a lot since you've implemented that training, and just a hats off
We
to.
had some great joint training with Layton this morning.
Oh, did you?
They came and did a couple cars as well, so it was good. We've been training with Layton and Farmington a couple times a month, so it's been really good.
Public Works, again, just taking some of the highlights, I think, key takeaways from every department this past year, but we've talked a lot. Josh has talked recently about the concerns that we're seeing with our infrastructure, and especially with water leaks. We were kind of hovering around 130 repairs a year for a couple years there, 22, 23, and then really starting to see an increase there, and trying to stay ahead of that. So the high iron content in some of that soil, different pockets we've got, doesn't react well to the cast iron lines, unfortunately. And we've talked about this, but we implemented this, of course, this year, the water worth modeling that's really helping us forecast what those future costs are going to look like. Again, the blue here, the light blue is our operating costs. The darker blue is the cost of purchasing water, and then the green is the cost of capital for new projects and replacement projects. So, and then the bars, the gold is our rate. So you can see that we're not even covering our, in some cases, our operating costs. So again, we will continue to work with this model and try to make sure we're setting our rates in a way that's responsible and we're able to take care of our needs. And then, of course, everyone's familiar with the Mutton Hollow and Main Street and 200 North improvements. So, Power Department. So you'll notice here, if you look at the bottom, the total number of unscheduled outages in 2023 went from 35 to 81 in a year. And I want to explain what that means. So in 2024, we rolled out the outage management system, and that automatically tracks every single outage, even the ones that are 1 minute or 2 minutes. And in the past, we were manually tracking outages, but we didn't track the short ones that we'd shut down the power for 2 minutes or whatever to do some maintenance that was needed. And so going forward, you'll see that 80 or so be pretty consistent. It's not going to jump up again, and that's the reason for it. It doesn't mean that we're actually experiencing more outages. In fact, this will kind of show you that that's the case. The average service availability index, you can see in 2023, we were providing power 99.98% of the time, and that didn't change from 23 to 24, and that's again because we were not experiencing really more outages, so doing a pretty good job there. Significant projects, again, this outage management system, we continue to fine tune it, but it's been a good system. Brian was just telling me just this past weekend, for example, he was on a road trip with his family, stopped at a Maverick and was gassing up and got a notice on his app on his phone that we had an outage with 23 residents down. And in that amount of time of just gassing up his car, he was able to see the diagnosis of the outage, notify the on-call guy to go out and take care of it, and an automatic message went out to all the residents that we were aware of it, that we were on our way. The whole thing was, it was I think a fuse that was burning out, and they upsized the fuse, all in about 35 minutes. We didn't have one call because people got the automatic notification. In the past, that same experience would have taken maybe 3 hours or more sometimes to go out, wait for a call, first of all, because we wouldn't get automatically notified, and then somebody would have to drive the line, find out, diagnose it on their own, and then residents wouldn't always get that information either. And so this has been, I think, a great success. We still have some GIS work to do, sometimes to make sure it's accurate with each line of the system, but it's been really a great investment, I think, for the city. Other significant projects, the King Clarion rebuild, I think they've got 30 poles, and they've done quite a bit of work on that already, but that continues, and that'll improve the reliability in that area. The Schick substation's recently been finished, and of course we're just starting the Burton substation now. And something that never got reported, but I think just an indicator of how much is going on behind the scenes. We recently had a new transformer installed at Schick, and there was some bad components to that transformer, and with the heat coming on, they had to balance the load into different transformers and substations, and they were able to do that really quickly while also lighting a fire under the contractors who installed it to get that replaced. It's been replaced, but they just did a lot of hoop jumping to get that fixed, and of course residents didn't see anything at all because they were really on top of it. But our department does a fantastic job. And then again, we're using the Waterworth model to forecast our future power costs as well and stay on top of that and try to set the rates at the right level. Our Parks Department, I'm not going to get too much into this, but of course we're excited about the Kaysville Recreation Center, and we're going to start calling that. And thanks to the mayor, it was her insight there that why are we calling this a gymnasium when I think the idea of a rec center is really what this is. When you think of gymnasium, I think a lot of people think of just a court, but this is of course going to be much more than that, with fitness rooms for people to do different programs, and then the second level track and equipment and everything. So we've talked to Davis School District, and they're completely fine with us branding it as the Kaysville Recreation Center. Okay. So that's what it's going to be known as, is the Kaysville Rec Center, and we'll have that branding on the outside of the building as well. And so something to be excited about. They're hoping to have design done by October and put this out to bid sometime this winter, and then with the plan for opening in sometime in 2027, hopefully by late summer. And then I just wanted to point out, this is something that Cole's talked about a lot, but we have such an incredible rec program, and they do such a great job of managing so many programs and so many participants, 13,000 participants over. You can see all the different programs that they do, and they're already starting to plan for programs that they can do and implement once the recreation center is complete. So they really have passion in providing great programming for our residents. Community development, you know, nothing surprising here, but permits are dropping, and obviously with the economy, and that's just going to be the case. And see single-family homes also on the decline, both single-family and townhomes.
Wow.
And I think you're all aware of these priorities, but we'll get back to the CRA at some point later this year, and we're right now, the department's working on the small area plan and to improve downtown and develop a really good concept with a lot of input. And then we continue to stress code updates, and that's something that we're going to work more and more on now with our new planner on board, and hopefully in the coming years get some money to help do some outside work as well to update our codes. And then fiscal considerations, just coming off the budget year. This is something that I went back and did. I think this is kind of gives us a little picture of like where we've been. You know, 70 to 80% of our general fund is personnel costs. That's a big driver of our budget. And you know, we are a service organization. That's what we do. We provide services: police, fire, EMS, recreation. All those things are. The employees are the backbone of that service, and so this is going to be a significant indicator of our budget. I think if you look at these numbers, it can be interesting. It's hard to tell the whole story with just looking at this, but you know, everyone's going to probably look at that and say, wait, in 2014 we had 81 full-time employees, and in 2024 we jumped up by 46 employees to 127. So what's the reasoning behind that? And you know, there's different components here. One of those, of course, after 2014, we went from a volunteer fire department to a full-time fire department. So we added 23, I believe.
We added 3 in 16, and then added 15 more, so there's 21 now.
21, and I believe with you and
also,
Ariel,
we added 18
yeah.
from 18 on, we added 18.
Okay. So if you look at if you take out the fire number, because I think this is something that's interesting. You know, again, for many years, decades, we didn't have full-time people. So it's crazy to think that we went as long as we did without actually having a full-time department. But I think this helps tell some of that story as well. If you take out fire for a minute, because I think that's a little bit different of a story. And you look at just where we've been. So in the past 30 years, for example, we went from 16,000 people in the city to 33,000, so essentially doubled our population. The number of full-time employees also roughly doubled from 51 in 1994 to 104. So over the last 30 years, if you just take out fire for a minute and look at all the other departments, we basically paralleled or mirrored the growth of the city. And this doesn't take into account, you know, we've also taken on new services. It's not just about the growth, but about the expectation for the level of services that we provide. For example, you know, we're providing school resource officers in many of the schools. You know, that's an additional service. We used to have a contract, attorney. Now we have an in-house attorney. So there's a lot of different things that we're doing, I think, better and providing a higher level of service. But you can see we're still growing fairly steadily, and I think really paralleling or mirroring the growth of the city's population over that 30-year period. And by the way, none of that is to imply in any way that obviously it was a very smart move to go to a full-time fire department. So that's not to say that's not important. And frankly, something that obviously has been a big part of our discussion and will continue to be is we have an additional need as we continue to grow, especially on the west side, and I'll get into that in a minute. But obviously a very critical service that we provide, and residents have an expectation for. And then I won't even really touch on this. We've been through the budget process, but some of the highlights for this year. And despite the 31% proposed increase, we'll have our Truth in Taxation hearing on August 7th. We're still well below, or below most of Davis County, even with that increase.
Oh, Jason, sorry, I shouldn't interrupt you.
I'll go ahead.
Do you know,
Mayor, am I okay to speak?
Yes, Councilmember Adams.
Do you know if, I guess maybe we aren't tracking the other cities, but one of my big curiosities was to see what the other cities approved on their budgets, whether theirs increase as well, but I guess is that not public knowledge yet?
Oh, it's public knowledge. I don't have that information in front of me. I know a lot of cities did not choose to do truth and taxation this year, but I know, just going off the top of my head, Clinton, West Point had one planned, Clearfield,
I think Farmington.
Farmington.
They're not doing
Farmington.
it? Well,
But I know,
there was a catch in that law, too. There were some cities that were thinking about doing it, but then they had to indicate they were doing it by June 30th, and not all the cities received information that that was a new deadline. So, yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of come into play a little bit.
yeah, just some,
Yeah.
and then you've seen this before, the pie chart of kind of how much of the Kaysville residents' property tax goes to Kaysville City versus other taxing entities, and obviously the majority is going to Davis School District, about 16% to the city. And then just sort of some takeaways. I think, obviously we're doing a lot of good things in Kaysville. I think we've run very lean and fiscally responsible, but we still have a lot of work to do to make sure we're addressing important needs. Public safety is obviously one of those big needs, and we've talked a lot about the new fire station needs. That is going to be one of the things that we're going to dive into after we get through the budget session here. And we started that strategic planning process earlier this year, right before we went into the budget, so we kind of put that on the back burner while we worked on the budget, but we'll jump into that again. And fire station and other public safety needs are going to be part of that process. And so is infrastructure, reliability, sustainability, again, looking at what our needs are for utility rates to make sure we're taking care of our infrastructure and have a long-term plan that's going to be sustainable. Staffing will continue to be something we'll talk about and make sure that we're staffing at the right level and remaining competitive. And the operations center, the library building, those are going to be things that we'll have to decide what to do on. And again, community development is focusing on revitalizing downtown and improving our economic development potential. And then something we've talked about, we got a lot of feedback during the strategic planning session we had a few months ago, but just the connectivity of the city, making sure that both streets and trails we're thinking through, and as we see more congestion, how can we make things movement around the city better? And we're working with UDOT. We have a regular meeting with them about since we have 3 major UDOT corridors going through the city, not even counting Main Street. We've got 3 freeways, so that's an important part of our planning. And then we heard a lot of feedback also on just the overall image of Kaysville. And aesthetic enhancement, things like trees and improvements to the gateways that we'll talk about. Obviously, a big challenge in all of this is going to be how do we manage the rising costs of virtually everything and make sure we're being smart about what we're doing, but also making sure we're addressing those needs in the best way and in the most fiscally responsible way. And then communication, both communication from staff to council, from council to staff, from the city to residents and back and forth. All those things are going to be something we're going to dial in and see how we can improve. I think we do a good job in many ways, especially with our social media that's very active. If you look at fire department's social media page, for example, they're very active and have a great following, obviously, and do a fantastic job. But we'll continue to look at ways we can improve communication throughout the city, and then, of course, getting back to planning and making sure we have plans to fund our needs, to make sure we're focusing on the right priorities, and we're excited to kind of get back into that phase in that strategic planning after we get through the budget over the next month or so. I think this September, October, we'll start having some work sessions on some of those things. But wanted to kind of highlight that again. Happy to hear any feedback if now or later on things that you'd like to see, things that you'd like us to track, but that is the state of the city.
Thank you for doing that. We asked Jason to put together a state of the city, just so that we get a real good snapshot of what's going on, because we do have department directors that come in and brief us, but it's just nice to have the information together in one presentation. So thank you. And then, when people are asking us, hey, what are you doing in Kaysville? It's a great document to be able to refer to. These are the projects we've completed. These are the things that we're doing. These are the things we're discussing. So thank you for preparing that. Okay. Conflicts of interest, anyone? Nope. All right. Seeing none, let's move to the consent items. Agenda item 5A, B, and C. Would someone like to make a motion? I will entertain one.
Consent items, maybe? I'll make a motion that we approve consent items A, B, and C.
Thank you. He's not.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Hunt.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda is approved. We are now on item 6A, a resolution and letter of support selecting and supporting the Kaysville Fire Department as the provider of 911 emergency medical services and interfacility transport services. Chief Erickson.
Mayor, council members, city leaders, residents, thank you for your time this evening. Yeah, this was new to us. Hopefully you read the portion, that's the only portion that I brought, is you read the Senate Bill 215 overview. That's really where it came about and why it came about. They're concerned about transparencies from the state level down and how we're picking our interfacility transfer folks and our EMS providers in our cities and our counties. I can sit here and speculate what I think. Councilmember Blackham and I have had many discussions on this, and we don't know. On one hand, I did email Senator Owens. He's the sponsor of the bill, and just asked him what his intent was. I'd like to understand where that came from. I haven't heard anything yet, but we'll see. And in a nutshell, we have to put out an RFP. We got 2 responses, not in response to the RFP. The first one was from a company in Virginia that wanted to know if they can have an extension. Our city attorney, Mr. Mills, sent them back and said, no, we cannot. We met the state's deadline, minimum 7 days. We put it out on the 20th, and it closed at 4 o'clock p.m. on the 27th. So we did our due diligence. Thanks to Anne Marie and Mr. Mills, because it really made it a lot easier. This is the state's words. We're a guinea pig right now because we're the first ones that are doing it this way. We decided to do a resolution. I don't know if Layton's going to do a resolution. They canceled their meeting tonight. I've been working with their leadership over there with the fire department. They're probably watching this to see what we're doing. They may do a resolution, but at the end of the day, it has to be a letter of support from you in a public hearing. And then Anne Marie thought and Mr. Mills thought we should do a resolution as well. So that's what we're here for. And the checklist is awesome from the state. That's being facetious. But yeah, they know it's coming. They're waiting for it. I'll upload it tomorrow, and we should have no problems with our license.
Chief, thanks for getting on that so fast.
I don't.
It seems.
I learned a lot about it this past couple weeks. I mean, if you have any questions, please, I'll take them. If I don't know them, I will get them.
Yep. Thank you. Any questions? We don't have anyone signed up to speak to this item, and so, all right. Councilmember Blackham?
Being the case, I will make a motion on action item 6A, a resolution and letter in supporting the selection and supporting of the Kaysville Fire Department as the provider of 911 emergency medical services and interfacility transport services for Kaysville City.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Chief. Councilmember Jackson?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thanks, you got it done.
Now, we'll see if I have to come back and do some other form or whatever.
Do another dance for us. Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank-
No, thank-
Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Seriously, if you have any questions, I'll try and find them.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I look forward to Senator Owen's response.
Yeah.
To clarify the intention, I will.
Yeah, I get busy, it's the holidays and stuff.
Right, but we'll find out.
I just like to know.
Same. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, council member reports. First off, I just wanted to say I appreciate everybody. Appreciate staff. They're working a lot of hours this week to make sure that everybody stays safe during our holiday celebrations. That means that they're coming from other departments to cross support and to put up barriers and take down stuff, but take trash out. I mean, just all kinds of jobs that they're doing, and we really appreciate their willingness to leave their families on the holiday. And Councilmember, and the other thing is we have some people retiring. I wanted to mention that Dean is retiring, and he has been a valiant, loyal employee for years and years. He's been the only finance director Kaysville City has ever had.
Wow.
He was hired as a finance director out of college and has worked here ever since. Jason did a really great presentation for him today, and so really appreciate him.
Thanks, Chief.
Oh, Chief?
Now, I'm very sorry.
Sure.
I forgot to add,
Can you please state your name and
And come out to the mic, please.
the
I
microphone?
forgot to add it to Jason. We did get awarded $139,000 for a first responder mental health grant.
Oh, really?
Nice.
It's a requirement by legislation from the state.
Good.
So it's been a great thing.
That's huge.
I've worked with the head state, Lady Mary Kellogg. She's been wonderful. So I just have to do reporting every quarter on how we're spending it and stuff like that. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you.
$139,020.
Oh, okay, the 20.
It's
definitely.
the 20. The 20 is what did it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. All right, any other comments,
Well,
Council?
you're mentioning,
Yes.
I just want to make sure we mention that Holly also
Yes,
is
thank you.
retiring, and so is Bruce Rigby.
Yes.
And also Jason with the fire department, one of the captains, is retiring, and all of their parties are next week.
Yes.
I believe Holly's, Bruce's, and Dean's are on Wednesday? Thursday, and then Jason's is on Friday, right? Okay.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. And everyone's invited.
Yeah, everyone's invited, all are longtime employees, especially Holly and Bruce have been, and Dean, they're all really longtime employees, been here forever. Done a great job for the city, and they'll be missed. They're good people. Just a couple other little things. We talked about getting camping going again up at the Wilderness Park, and we're going to work on that so that we can figure out a way so that we can get camping allowed again up in the Wilderness Park. Obviously, we don't want fires up there, so there'll be a lot of signage for no fires, but we'll figure out a way so people can actually reserve a spot, pay a fee of some sort, and they will be able to start tent camping up there. It's a great facility. We need to get it open so people can use it, and I think staff is willing to work on it and make it work. And then the new bathroom on the rail trail is open now, and so that should be open. The contractor's done a really good job. Cole said that they've been real good to work with, and they've done good work, and should be open now. They were going to do their last little thing and opened, I think, on Monday, so it should be open now.
Looks great, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really
Graffiti
good.
yet?
Not yet. And then I think that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to acknowledge our officer in the back wearing shants and how awesome I think it is that our officers are out in this heat doing what they're doing, and our first responders are incredible this week especially.
Thank you, Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, just a few things. We've had some complaints and concern from folks using the splash pad of not enough shade where some of the benches are located, and we've worked with the city and Nick and Jason, and we're kind of working to potentially move some of the benches and also plant some large trees maybe this fall that will offer shade in the future. But just wanted to throw that out there.
And they did add some trash cans.
Oh, trash cans too,
Uh-huh.
yeah, thanks, Mayor.
So,
Yep.
thanks for bringing that up.
And they do have a water leak over there, so they've had to shut down one of the features over there, and it's a pretty extensive water leak, so it's gonna be shut down until they can actually close it up and jackhammer up the floor. So I think it'll be closed till the end of the summer, and then we'll get it fixed when the summer's over. But it's too bad, but it's better than closing it and tearing it up. And but that one feature, I guess, is one of the bigger ones. But Cole says they're on it and they'll get it fixed. But people might.
True.
So if you hear about it, it's just there's a problem with it.
We could call that the imagination pad and just go over there and pretend the water's hitting you.
Pretend like there's
Near the
more.
library, so yeah.
John. Yeah, you go do that. Anyone else? I will mention, as maybe people are thinking, if there's anything else. We've had some vandalism, so parents, and we're going to put some social media posts out there. There was damage to the park grass at Barnes Park from maybe bikes or motorcycles. And then some kids went out and blew up some toilets in one of the bathrooms in one of the parks. So, we understand kids want to have fun, great, but you can't destroy things. And so parents, please ask your kids what they're doing. And if people see things like that happening, please let us know, let the police know, because things like that are really expensive, obviously, as well as dangerous. And so we want to make sure that we nip these things and make sure that people realize it's not okay. It's okay to have fun. It's not okay to be destructive.
And we have them on camera. We know who you are,
We do.
but we want to give you a chance to turn yourself in.
The camera part is true, and so is the part that you should turn yourself in. Because, not a laughing matter. Obviously, we want our kids to enjoy their city as well, but we also want it to be safe. So, okay, Jason.
Just a reminder, so this is our last council meeting, until the next August 7th.
Why is it canceled? I didn't know why.
Just lack of business.
Okay, so we just know nothing coming up?
Nothing coming up, and there just were a couple of just scheduling issues, I think, with different people's schedules that we weren't going to probably get everybody here anyway. But in looking at what's coming up on the planning agendas and just general city business, nothing really at all urgent.
Good week to take
So-
a vacation.
Yep, great. Take your vacations later this month. Yeah, exactly. Great time. But we will reconvene here on Thursday, August 7th, for the next council meeting, and that'll be our truth and taxation night as well. And then, so just once again, the retirements parties. So next Thursday, July 10th, is Bruce, Dean, and Holly here in the council chambers at 2 o'clock. And then Friday next week at 2 o'clock, 2 to 4, is Jason Taylor's, Captain Taylor's. And I think there's going to be a presentation at 2:30 at the fire department if you want to schedule in a specific time to come. So, and then I just wanted to shout out to Ryan Judd, IT director. First of all, he's now our IT director. Nothing really changed other than he's now officially department head. Same structure otherwise and pay and all that stuff. But he's doing a great job of leading the city's IT efforts and really helping all departments in doing a great job and leveraging technology to better do their jobs. And he just does a fantastic job. One case in point is we're just rolling out right now an AI chatbot on our website, and that'll allow residents to go in and ask a natural language question and get a natural language answer. So rather than just doing a search on our website like what's available now and getting 25 links and then having to click on each link and look for your information, this chatbot will be able to just answer you in natural language, and it really will be a great service to residents. Also, over time, free up staff to do other things rather than just answer emails and phone calls and things. So we're excited about it. We did use existing funds for that. They wanted $9,000. Ryan was able to negotiate it down to $5,000. We're going to do a one-year trial and see how it works. But some other cities around the country and around the state have done this recently and have had some good experience, so we're excited about it. And I think AI is changing a lot, so we're trying to be on the forefront of that and using that technology to leverage our ability. And So I wanted to point that out, and I think that is all I have.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so on our agenda now, we have a closed session. If someone would like to make a motion to go into the closed session, that would be appropriate now.
Are we gonna?
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone who's here. We'll be back to close our city council, to adjourn our meeting afterwards.
Are we going in there?
Yeah.
So this is my packet.
Your map. There's actually not a parking lot map.